The question that was being debated today across the airwaves is the torture report good for America? The answer, according to places like MSNBC, is yeah. But there are other questions too, like, is America awesome? In which case, thank God for Fox News. Here's your polarized TV scrimmage for the day.
The United States of America is awesome. We are awesome, but we've had this discussion. We've closed the book on it and we've stopped doing it. And the reason they want to have this discussion is not to show how awesome we are. This administration wants to have this discussion to show us how we're not awesome.
Michael Vick did more time for what he did to dogs than anyone will face for what they did to human beings.
In an open society, if the CIA or any other federal agency breaks the law, we the people should know it. That being said, Talking Points does believe the report is a partisan play that will solve nothing.
If you want to defend torture, by all means, go ahead. But please, I am begging you, spare me any sermons about the law ever again.
What did we just decry when Rolling Stone did it? And that is a report that comes out without ever having consulted the people who are basically accused here.
If nobody's going to prosecute these guys for torture, then at least pardon them. So America is on the record naming what they did as criminal.
Okay, sprinkled in amid the talking heads who are paid by the media were two other unpaid talking heads, former CIA Chief Michael Hayden and Liz Cheney, the daughter of the former vice president. Here's a sampling of their defense of what to many seems indefensible.
There's a bunch that's not accurate in the report.
They're just absolutely flat wrong.
It reads like a prosecutorial screed.
It was information out of this program that led us to al-Qaeda leaders.
A Home Depot-like storage of information on al-Qaeda. And let me tell you a phrase I never heard from anybody in any position of authority. Whatever you guys do about this terrorism threat, please don't overreact.
Margaret was wall-to-wall with these folks today, out there pressing their case. Do you think there's any merit whatsoever in what the CIA defenders are saying?
First of all, I think Liz Cheney is paid by Fox News as a contributor, but
I take that
not
back.
full-time.
Okay.
Look, I've listened very closely to everything I can find and read everything. The former CIA directors and deputies had an op-ed in the Journal, some of those TV appearances. They do dispute about whether there was useful information gathered from these techniques. I think that's besides the point. If you think these things are immoral and not in keeping with our traditions,
and illegal,
it's a bad idea. But the other things, most of these interviews are taken up with fog machine. They're taken up with misdirection and invective. I mean, yeah, they didn't interview people because there was a criminal investigation going on. And by the time this report's been delayed forever, people act like, well, they could have interviewed me in the last 2 years. No, for like months and months and months, they've been trying to get the report out. I have found very little merit in the criticism. And even if you accept every criticism they're making, the fact that the critics of the report do not seem to want to learn from what was done wrong by the CIA's own admission things were done wrong is a disservice to history and to public policy and the agency they claim to love.
Are you calling them unpatriotic?
No, I'm just saying.
Are you calling them un-American?
I'm just saying their accusation that this is partisan, the report is partisan, is off base, because what's really not partisan, but what really is self-interested is people who are trying to preserve and protect their own reputations and the CIA's reputation. No one begrudges them the notion that they were under a lot of pressure in the wake of 9/11. But their failure to read the report and respond on the merits to what they did wrong is really doing a disservice.
There's a thing that lawyers talk about. It's called arguing the alternative, where you basically say something like, what you just said was wrong, but if it was right, here's my other defense to that. And that defense is that you just go make a bunch of contradictory, internally contradictory arguments. So much of this doesn't go to any of the, you said fog machine. I think it's more like a smoke machine. It's like there's no, in most of these cases, no direct engagement with the issues that are actually in the report. It's like, well, you know, there's a Republican report. There's not just a Democrat report. There are 3 reports. Why don't you report on all the reports? Kind of irrelevant to the question of whether what is in the report is true. And in many of those cases, they are not making a credible argument on the detailed questions, whether or not they are factual. There will always be dispute over the question of whether any valuable information came out of these techniques. But on a lot of other stuff, like them lying to George Bush, lying to Congress, lying to others, I've not heard a good response from any of those people.
One of these guys should break rank and talk about what the CIA did wrong and what we've learned from it.
Right.
That would be useful.